Hey, folks, welcome back to Reaction Bite Radio with your host, Kevin Postwaite, and your co host.
Julie Price. And if you're enjoying our videos, please subscribe, share, like, comment, let us know.
All right. And we're here today with our friend Thomas Burton from West Virginia Overland. Thomas, how are you?
Good.
So you're with a company called West Virginia Overland.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about your company and what you all do with that company.
Sure. We provide mainly training for off-road driving, safe practices, recovery, for anything ranging from basic to advanced driving techniques, a good stewardship, things of that nature for adventure travel with vehicle-dependent travel throughout West Virginia. We do anything from private training to government training, small group training. We typically blend the coursework and the classes into the trail. So we'll take an opportunity while we're doing a guided trip or driving around from point A to point B on the country back roads and take the opportunity to conduct training in real world scenarios. That way it's not just all classroom based, PowerPoint based. You actually will get the opportunity to take your vehicle out, potentially get it stuck, and then we'll guide you through the process of recovering it, route selection, terrain negotiation, things of that nature.
Nice. Do you have particular routes that you pre-plan, or is it kind of freewheeling as you go? How's that work?
Yeah, I have pre-navigated trails. Use either Gaia GPS or Onyx Off-Road, and I'll scout trails before I take a group out. Or anything that's local to me, I know the trail system, and we have it that in GPS or GPX files, so guys can upload them, follow behind if they get separated. Typically, they don't have a front and rear guide. That way, the group all stays together. We don't lose somebody on the trail system or something like that. But I've got everything ranging from north to south travel to east and west travel. I'd say we've got about 60% of the state mapped.
Is there a particular, like if someone wants to go on a particular route, like is that a possibility, or how does the planning start for a trip with you?
It really, I don't do a lot of cookie cutter stuff. If I get, say, for example, I've got a husband and wife who wants to come out and learn how to drive their Jeep. I'll figure out what they need from me. I'll provide what they need from me. If they want to do more, hey, I need to learn my vehicle and its capabilities, then we'll do that. We'll spend a day and a half teaching them on the vehicle platform, what it's capable of, what its limitations are. And then if it's a short period class, then I'll take them on local trails around the area to exercise them in their vehicle and show them the limitations and capability of the vehicle. If it's a guided trip, then we'll plan the guided trip from where the majority of the individuals who are showing up for the trip, if they're all coming from Virginia, then we'll start on the eastern panhandle in West Virginia and drive out, and then they'll be able to hop onto the highway and drive back east to Virginia. So it just depends on what their group is. It's, hey, we're doing this trip, and this is the cookie cutter thing we're doing.
Okay, so everything's unique.
Mm-hmm.
I assume these are multi-day trips generally?
It can range from an overnight trip to, if large enough group and they've got enough time to dedicate to it, we can do a 3 to 5 day trip to where we're going from point A to B to C to D and back to A, camping in different areas overnight, whether it's in a state park or, private property, things of that nature. But most of my routes are public routes. They're off-road trails or they are back roads. So it's a mix in between a little bit of asphalt, gravel to some technical driving. Usually more of the technical driving is shorter in duration because it's stressful and tiring. But the intent is to get from point A all the way to D and back to A, depending on what the customer wants.
Okay. So how did you get started with West Virginia Overland?
Kind of by accident. So I did 20 years in the military, 13 in special operations, and by trade, I was doing tactical ground mobility in Iraq, Afghanistan, all over different locations. So that's vehicle dependent. Ground mobility, you're taking everything with you. You're going out 7 to 14 days, depending on how long you're going to be out there conducting operations, and it's all vehicle dependent. You're loading up your fuel, water, ammunition, whatever you need, and you're running around the desert at night doing things. So it's all off-road based, all off-road driven, because we're never taking the same routes. We're never taking highways and where we can get ambushed or IEDs, things of that nature. So it was all technical driving off-road in the desert or wherever we're going. So by trade, that's what I was doing for quite a bit of time in a tier 1 organization in the Army. My last 5 to 6 years, I ran mobility operations or mobility programs for Special Forces Command. So I helped develop the requirements, develop the product, develop the vehicles, test, validate, and field everything from ATVs all the way up to 32,000-pound combat vehicle platforms for Special Forces, and then U.S. SOCOM, Special Operations Command. So there was a lot of interaction with industry. There was a lot of interaction with the user groups and deciphering their requirements to get them what they need. So anything you see Special Forces or Special Operations guys rolling around in that's desert tan, I probably had a hand in messing with it and bringing it to fruition. During that process, to answer your question, I was doing testing and validation of some vehicle platforms here in West Virginia, and I was talking to another company who was doing trips, and they had predetermined routes. And I said, hey, I'll recce these things for you or recon these things for you if you give me the route. We'll clear it. We'll do whatever so we can test our vehicles. And then it turned into a, hey, we can train you kind of thing. Hey, we need to go with you on these routes. And I'm like, nah, you're not going to be able to go out and do what we're doing. So you can't be present with the equipment and the vehicles. So cool, appreciate it. And then it got a little contentious. I'm like, you know what? I'll just start my own company and start doing it myself. So that's how it started. And then it grew into more of consulting work, more of the training aspect. And then we still do a little bit of vehicle development, a little bit of vehicle testing for government agencies. I'd say probably about 75% of my training is with some of these military organizations, Major Regiment, Special Forces groups, or DoD entities, things of that nature, because West Virginia is secluded, do things nobody's watching, and you can get some really good training on the terrain that we have up here.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I was going to ask is what separates West Virginia if someone wants to do an overlanding experience or adventure tourism experience. What separates that, say, from some of the places out west or some of the more popular destinations to go to?
We're not overpopulated with tourists, not yet anyway. It's growing, but it's not cookie cutter. You can still get out and explore places people haven't been in a long time. So it's very new. The terrain here is a little bit harder to drive on than, say, in the desert. It's more technical. It's tighter. You can't take a lot of full size vehicles where we go. You've got a lot of mud. You've got, summertime, you've got water crossings. Wintertime, you've got snow and ice. So you've got a diverse palette of things to drive around on. So you get a lot of differentiation in what your skill sets are going to do, or what you're going to do with your skill sets here in this terrain from season to season. And I think you can have a pretty good adventure here by exploring, as opposed to just getting ducks in a row and going down a Jeep trail with 200 other Jeeps out in Moab or wherever else. Don't get me wrong, Moab's great, but it is saturated with tourism and T-shirts and all of those things. If you want a secluded, nice, quiet kind of getaway and in an austere environment, West Virginia is your place.
So in West Virginia, what do you think are the most popular places to adventure, tour, and overland? I mean, we have some national forests, right?
It's so new here. The concept is so new. I mean, you've got, your locals who do off-roading. They take back roads to get from point A to point B because that's their route of travel. Tourists coming in here, we're kind of a void between 64 and 79, and there's a lot of people just don't know where to go. I get a lot of groups from New York to out of Georgia, like, hey, we'd like to go overlanding in West Virginia. We just don't know where to go. But a lot of our state parks, like there's a hidden gem here, Mount Wood. I live right beside Mount Wood State Park. I border a property line with them. It's best kept secret in Ritchie County. There's a lot of places that you can pull in. We're working with tourism branches. I'm on the tourism board for Ritchie County here in Caro Harrisville area. There's a lot of opportunity to go exploring, and the community is really receptive to what we're doing. They just don't know what to make of us just yet and how to facilitate. So we've talked with DNR representatives, the director of DNR, to accommodate overlanding guided trips by means of kind of like we call an O site. You have RV locations and you have rural campsite locations. If there's no place to pull in a group of 4 or 5 vehicles and everybody can kind of circle the wagons, get beside a fire pit and talk and make dinner, whatever. So they're willing to invest a little bit of money across the state to have RV points or O points, whatever you want to call them, for overlanding groups to have places to camp once they come off the trail during the day. So we're working on establishing a chain of those throughout the state to be able to accommodate overlanding routes and overlanding groups coming through. There's a lot of interest. There's just not a lot of infrastructure, not a lot of people doing it just yet.
So when you talk about, you mentioned off-roading and overlanding,
Mhm.
two very different things, right?
Yep. I would say overlanding is more not necessarily a long term, but it's more about the travel, and it's not necessarily about going through a trail successfully and navigating obstacles. It's more of, hey, you need to know what your vehicle can and can't do. You need to do the logistics to take what you need with you. You need to be able to remedy problems on the trail. You need to be able to understand how your vehicle works and what it takes to fix it, because that is your platform you're going to be living off of for 2 to 3 to 5 to 6 days, however long you're going to be out. Very vehicle dependent, and self-reliance is a big key piece of it. You're not throwing your vehicle back on a trailer after you come off the trail. You're not going to run into town real quick and get fuel and snacks and things. Whatever you bring with you is on your vehicle, and that's what you've got. So there's an air of self-reliance and enjoyment on the trip, not necessarily the destination. You can see multiple cool destinations, or, hey, that's a cool trail, let's go explore that. It's not riding in circles and, hitting off-road trails. Not that there's anything wrong with that, or wheeling as they call it. But if you want a little bit more of a leisure travel and exploration kind of trip, overlanding is kind of what you want to get into.
Uh, let's talk about before we get into some other stuff. Curious about what your setup is. I personally have a 2020, was it 24 Chevy Silverado diesel 1500 with a Super Pacific X1. And my primary purpose is fishing. It's not as much off road as much as it is going,
We can't pull a
camping.
camper and a boat.
Right, right. Yeah, or taking a bass boat to off-road trails, but
Hmm.
the concepts are a lot the same as far as, a lot of places we go, no electricity. So it's all self-reliant, got EcoFlow battery pack, that kind of stuff,
Hmm.
jet boil.
You're taking all your life support systems with you.
Yeah, yeah, so, we can just pull in, set up, no matter where we go, boat ramps, parking lots if you have to, wherever you end up. So what would be your basic setup if someone were gonna get into overlanding to do what you do with the adventure tourism? What would be your preferred basic setup?
If I had to neck it down to one style of platform, it's a small to mid-sized truck, just based on the narrowness of our trail systems. It's harder for full-size vehicles to get through some of the areas we go through, but that's the cool thing with overlanding. You don't need a lot of things to do it. You can take some relatively stock vehicle platforms and get to a lot of places you wouldn't think you could go. The key to it is getting proper training with the vehicle so you know what it can and can't do. That way you don't get yourself stuck into a situation where you can't get out of it. But we've got folks who bring Subaru Foresters, all-wheel drive vehicles, with the right set of tires, maybe a little bit of a suspension package on it, something like that. You don't need a lot. Just be able to carry what you need to take with you and educate yourself on what you can and can't do with your vehicle platform, and learn how to get yourself out of stuck situations, doing proper recovery and having the appropriate gear. And I'm not saying go out with, $20,000 worth of cool guy gear. You don't need all that. You can do a lot with a little. And like I said, the barrier to entry to overlanding is relatively low. You can do a lot of things with your stock vehicles nowadays, but typically it doesn't take more than a good AT tire, a little bit of suspension, and some form of recovery gear, maybe a winch. If you can afford getting a winch and put it on a vehicle platform, and a little bit of trail armor so you don't damage your vehicle if you do, skim over a rock or whatever. Again, you don't need to dump $10,000 to $15,000 into something to be able to go out and overland.
So the most popular would be like the Toyota Tacoma, you think?
Tacomas, your Jeep Gladiators. I've seen quite a few Ridgelines running around, but most folks will either show up in Land Cruiser, Land Rovers, Toyota Tacomas. What do they see? It's a Chevy model, about the size of a
Yeah,
Tacoma.
right.
Colorados, that's
Yeah.
it. And then some all-wheel drive cars. So those are your
Okay.
typical pool of what kind of shows up to the classes. We get a fair amount of Jeeps. It's split between Jeeps and Toyotas.
Yeah. If, in your classes, do you focus mostly on the driving aspect, not necessarily the gear to take aspect? Would that be
We
accurate?
do both. If it's somebody who wants a recovery class, then we'll focus that day or that 2 days on, hey, here's all the equipment that's available to you based on whatever you're doing. Here's what you would need out of that group of equipment. But we would educate on all of that equipment. If it was purely driving, then we would teach how to properly negotiate obstacles, how to put your vehicle in four-wheel drive, how to use your four-wheel drive, how to use your ABS system to your benefit, things of that nature. Guided trips is kind of a mix of everything, but we can do both. It really just what the customer is looking to do. If they're avid four-wheelers and they've been out wheeling their entire lives, they've got a Jeep, they know what to do with it, awesome. Well, they need some recovery, then we'll teach specifically the recovery aspect of it. But again, it's really service based to what the customer is looking to do and what they need.
So how would folks get in touch with you to
Quickest
schedule
way
a
is
class?
to drop a submission on the website. I'm usually out somewhere where I don't have signal half the time, so I'll come in and check things, or if they get a hold of me via phone or text. But there's a submission form on the website. They can say, hey, here's who I am, here's what I'm looking to do, and can you do the following? And we'll send a reply back.
Pricing wise, is it by the hour? Do you do folks by, the class, what they want to do, or how many people they have? How does that work?
I typically try to keep the cost low enough to where a group of folks can come in, and it can range anywhere for like a group of 6 to 8. It may be $250 per person. That way the cost of the training is spread across 6 to 8 to 10 people. If I'm doing a group, the private training, a lot of people will sign up for private training, and it could range from $950 a day, depending on how much time they want to invest into it and how much time they want to spend on the trails. But it's usually 1 to 2 vehicle platforms and 2 to 3 people in a group of 2 vehicle platforms when they come up. That's kind of the base point.
Cool. I like it. So if someone were to, I mean, have you had anyone reach out to you that's just never done it at all? Zero. It says, "Hey, I want to start learning how to do it." And
A lot. There's a lot. I think I take it for granted, and I'm not by no means polishing a halo, but you get used to doing this for a living or a long time, and you just think there's a certain level of understanding that people have of vehicles and vehicle platforms and basic mechanics and stuff like that. And I've realized quickly that those skill sets are starting to become lost. It's kind of a lost art. People just don't do those kind of things, have no need to do those kind of things anymore. And they just don't know what they don't know, and they want to go out and enjoy themselves and enjoy their new Jeep Gladiator. And they need help turning the accessories on the vehicle. They need to understand how to put it into four-wheel drive. They know they're pushing a lever or turning a knob to put it into four-wheel drive, but they don't know what's happening underneath the vehicle. But giving them that little bit of education so they know, hey, when I do this on my truck, it causes the truck to do this thing, and here's how it's beneficial to me. So that educational piece, it's very 101, but it brings somebody up from a 0 level to a 3 or 4 level really quickly once that light bulb goes on of, hey, what's going on underneath my vehicle when I'm manipulating these knobs or putting things in low range, and what does it do for me and how does it benefit? Then when that light bulb goes off, it makes them a much better driver. It makes them a much better overlander, and they're able to be confident in what they can do with their truck or their vehicle, and they can enjoy themselves more instead of worrying about what they can and can't do or getting stuck, or they're confident in their vehicle platform when they go out.
yeah, anybody that's deer hunted in West Virginia in the mud and has a, tire come off the rim or something like that, being prepared in those situations is way, way different than changing a tire along the side of a paved road.
And we're able to do field repair classes. That's part of the curriculum. We can throw that in as well. Anything from tire repair, tire patching, rebeading, bringing an air compressor out in the field with you. Learn how to do that. You learning how to use a high lift jack to change your rim or rebead your tire back on the rim. There are all sorts of things we teach to get you out of sticky situations. It's just a lot of years my trial and error being in the desert doing dumb things and yeah, figuring out the
So
hard way.
hear me out though. This sounds like, I mean, I know you're talking about overlanding and away from society doing these things, but it
Mhm.
sounds like if you had a young person that was just learning how to drive, this would be good for them. It's going to help their defensive driving. It's going to help them just be ready for things you're going to encounter on the roads. After hearing this, if I had a young person that was learning how to drive, I would be like, hey, go take this class.
Yep, it's very applicable. It's vehicle dynamics. It's understanding what your vehicle can and can't do. And I'm not trying to make anybody my mechanic by no means. That's what I started out as in the military. But I can teach these subsystems in a way. Hey, your brake system is really 5 parts. Here's what those 5 parts do. Here's what happens when you apply that brake pedal. Here's what's going on under your vehicle. Now that, you know what's going on when you apply your brake. Most people don't. They just know my wheel stop. But there's things you can do to control your vehicle better through the use of brakes or left foot, right foot braking, and it's applicable on the trail. It's applicable in snow driving like we've got going on right now. Yeah, it's very applicable to, novice or beginner drivers.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, it just sounds like something. I'm not going to name any states or call anybody out, but I've encountered a lot of people that can't drive when it's nice outside and the roads are dry. So I would also
There
send
was
them to see you.
there were a lot of times when we would get 1 or 2 in I served 13 years at Fort Bragg in North Carolina, and if we got a flurry, things shut down, people are off the roads, and I'm driving around like, "Wow, this is interesting. Well, what do we have right now? 12 to 14 inches throughout West Virginia right now." We're just like, "Hey, I gotta go to the store. I'm going."
I don't know about where you are, but it's solid ice here.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
That stuff's not melting. I'm out there every day with a pry bar chipping it away a little bit at a time
Yep.
because I left my flamethrower down south. And Kevin said it would be wasteful to go buy another.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't need to.
Yeah, it's normal for us to drive around in these conditions, but like you said, novice drivers, people just aren't forced to learn things because they have to anymore. It's because they want to. And there's a lot of dying skills out there. I educated a gentleman who brought a chainsaw on the trail with him, and it's why not? You need one just in case you have a fallen tree. He bought one. He didn't know how to operate it. He didn't know how to use it. He didn't know how to saw properly. And he was like, "Hey man, I know I need to have this, but I don't know how to oil it, turn it on, and do the things to make it work." I'm like, cool, we'll take an hour and I'll school you up and you'll be a lumberjack by the time we're done. And he's like, man, that's going to save my life at some point. About 2 years later, he was stuck in some rain and snow up north. A tree had gotten in his way from the wind. He was probably 10, 12 miles in on a trail. There was no turnaround point. So he would have had to have backed out unless he cleared that tree. It's a pretty good sized tree from the pictures he sent me. He's like, yeah, man, knowing how to use that, I would have either gone off in a ditch, gone down a hillside, or been frozen out there overnight. But the fact that he could process a tree relatively quick and safely, he's like, told you, man, it was going to save my life one day, and it did.
Yeah, that's great.
That's something I've asked. Kevin knows what I'm about to say. Nobody in my entire life will let me use a chainsaw. I'm telling you, if you advertise a chainsaw class, people will come.
Julie would
I've
come
had-
just so she could get to
I
use a
would come so
chainsaw.
I would get to use the chainsaw because everybody's like, "No, you don't need to use that." Maybe
you
I
do.
do.
Get smaller ones and throw it in the trunk of the car. Just have a little to go package, just in case.
I'll get your information.
Sure.
Somebody's going to teach me how to use a chainsaw.
There you go.
Yep.
So,
I'm telling you, that would be a good class. And I'm not telling you what to do. You have your business, but little things like that, you may not realize that there are a lot of people that want to know how to do that. And either one, nobody will show them, or two, I think a lot of men would be afraid or be hesitant to go up to one of their male friends and be like, I don't know how to use a chainsaw.
yeah,
There's
yeah, I think that's
some ego involved in it. And I'll get couples who want to go and do things, but it's hard with the relationship dynamic for the man to teach the woman because they're emotionally involved and arguments ensue, things of that nature. Me and the wife are very much the same way. Um, if
yeah.
Thinking about back in the boat trailer.
No, yeah, yeah,
Woo!
yeah.
So I've had numerous guys say, hey, man, I can teach my wife this stuff, but it would be different if you were teaching my wife how to back up a trailer or how to put my vehicle in four-wheel drive or use a chainsaw because there's no emotional attachment. It's this dude's knowledge transferring information to me, and that's it. That's all this guy's here for. Nobody has to worry about being embarrassed. Nobody has to worry about, is somebody going to get mad at me? So all that relationship dynamic is out the window. And I've had a couple, they work out of their van. It's like a Mercedes Sprinter van. They kind of live out of it and they tour. They wanted to go more off road, but they're like, man, if we get off road, we're going to get stuck. Again, it was, the basic tire repair, the basic tire patching, how to put air in the tire properly, how to lower your air pressure so you have better traction, how to use a chainsaw, how to use recovery gear. It made them confident to be able to go out and explore. And there were some young 20 somethings, like 25 to 27. And they're like, nobody does this anymore. Nobody teaches this unless you go to vocational school or something. These skills are just not taught anymore because everything in life's kind of easy. So there's no need unless it's your career field to learn these kind of skill sets. So they were really thankful that, there's some dude in the woods somewhere who knows how to do these things and teach them.
Yeah, that's really cool. Like,
Yeah, it really is. It's it's helpful skills. They're helpful skills to have, but also it's nice to have someone to be able to teach those skills, still. I tell people all the time that, overlanding, the more you get into it, it becomes very, let's say prepper adjacent, right? I mean, there's a lot of crossovers with, and even simple camping definitely can help you in
It all
a
boils
tough
down to
situation.
logistics,
Yeah.
beans and bullets and cool guy stuff. Yeah, it is what it is, but you don't go anywhere without logistics. If you don't have what you need to go with you, you're not doing anything cool. It all boils down to planning and logistics, and we teach that as well. A lot of people just don't know the range of their vehicle. A full tank of gas will get you 300, 350 miles, but what's your safe planning if you go up hills, if you've gone, different routes? How much fuel do you need to carry to get 670 miles? Do you know? Probably not. Nobody does that kind of math to figure out what the fuel range of their vehicle actually is. If you just know you need an extra 10 gallons to go where you're going, you won't run out of fuel on the trail or the back road and be stuck there until somebody shows up. Little things like that pay off big once you apply the brain cells to figure out, hey, backward plan. What am I trying to do? What do I need to accomplish that task? Then you know what you need to put in the vehicle to go from point A to point B successfully and not run into a problem. So it's very prepper adjacent, but in the day, it just boils down to logistics.
So getting back to West Virginia overland a little bit, I know that the adventure tourism is new here, and that causes friction, I'm sure, between landowners, drivers, all that situation. So what's your take on if someone would come and take your class and decide, hey, I want to explore a route? What would be your best advice to them before they go, as far as talking to landowners or not talking to landowners?
Getting familiar with navigation systems. Everyone's got it in their pocket on their phone. GPX files, GPS, apps like Onyx Off-Road, Gaia GPS, things of that nature. There's also something West Virginia Department of Highways has all of their county roads mapped within the state, and it's accessible on their website. So you know, hey, this is a county road. I have right of way to travel on that. So you can predetermine your routes and look at them before you get up to a gate that says private property or, hey, I don't know which way this road goes and I'm passing right by a house. But you'll have the confidence behind you to know, hey, this is County Road 214. I can drive this. Just a little bit of homework and prep work will save you a lot of heartache on the trail. Again, that's something in the trip planning and things like that that we were able to offer as well.
It's a little off topic with the vehicle aspect we're talking about, but one of my semi-secret lifelong dreams is to hike the Appalachian Trail.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, I'm 51, so and I'm not in, you know, like run a marathon shapes. I'm figuring I've got like probably, the next 4 to 6 years that is actually partially realistically doable. I mean, some of the things you're talking about would probably help if somebody was getting ready to embark on a journey like that.
Sure. If they're going to break up the trail system, hey, I'm going to do 25 miles of it here, and they're moving from point A to point B and not walking the entire trail, they can basically use their vehicle as a mothership to supply themselves and get them from point A to B, and they can do portions of it and then get back in the vehicle and move down to the next location. That way they're not grinding through the entire Appalachian Trail. They can break it up if they want to. So again, all goes back to planning and logistics.
One of the interesting things that I'm learning from the conversation and stepping into the overland scene is it really is all about accessing the mobility that is built into our daily lives.
Hmm.
Automobiles have been part of the American culture forever. Um, and it's kind of a new way. I mean, it's not really new, except East Coast new in a way for folks to blend, right? The travel that America has been so
I don't know
well.
what you're trying to
What I'm
say.
saying is, culturally, America is very vehicle dependent and travel dependent, freedom, all that to explore. And this is another way to do that in a way that's different than hopping on a four wheeler or hopping on a side by side, and then because you can be gone for days at a time.
Hmm.
And I don't know where I'm going with that,
I
but it's
don't
just
know.
different.
I don't
It's
know what
different.
you're talking about.
Well, it kind of opens up the opportunity for people to recreate with their vehicle for leisure travel and fun, not just transportation from work and back. Or, hey, I've got to go from point A to B. It's, hey, I can stop and smell the roses. I can have fun with my vehicle. I like hopping in my Forerunner or my Tacoma, lighting up a cigar, and I'm going to go drive for 4 or 5 hours. I have fun driving my vehicle. It's recreational to me. It's therapeutic. It's nice and quiet. I may have a little bit of music on or something, but I enjoy the act of driving my vehicle.
So you mentioned working with the DNR and Division of Tourism.
Yeah, West Virginia Tourism down at the state capitol, and I'm on a board with others in Country Roads Coalition. And end of the day, to neck down, what we do there is to keep our current access to these roads. So we work with Department of Highways in West Virginia, let them know, "Hey, these are the trails we want to keep open because we're doing business on them. We're keeping the access open so the road doesn't close and get abandoned and turned over to a private landowner or something like that, and allow access for everybody." But the problem is they've only got enough resources to keep so many roads open, and they have to focus on a higher priority highway versus an off-road trail. They're not going to spend resources on that unless there's a justifiable reason. So we map. We bring up at the meetings that they have on road closures. They have proposals for road closures. If it's an off-road trail that we want to maintain access to, then we'll fight up, not really fight, but bring it up to them and say, hey, look, we'd like to keep this open because we have tourism trails going through there, or we have guided trips going through that area. It's bringing taxes and revenue because we have to pay taxes as a business to do the work. They're friendly to that aspect of it as long as we can justify what we're using the routes for. Then they'll forego a foreclosure. Working with DNR on, like I said, state parks, all the state parks within West Virginia. They're interested in maybe dedicating a couple spots within the state park to allow a group of vehicles to pull in and have a little campsite. And North Bend is very open to it. They've got what we call base camp right up top. around in the cabin area so we can bring our vehicles into a field, and we've got a little area to set up camp, set up some little cooking stations. We got a fire pit. We can circle the wagons. So we're in communication with a lot of the state agencies to help bring tourism to the state. There's a little bit of a lack of understanding because they associate us with off-roaders. Not that there's anything wrong with off-roaders, but they have this misconception that, hey, we want to come into the state park to off-road in the state park. And that's not what we're trying to do. We just want to be able to come in as a group and camp like an RV person or somebody who's got a backpack and wants to throw a tent down. We just want access to the state park with their vehicles to rest and relax like everyone else, pick up and go back outside of the state park and continue on our guided trips. So I've gone down to the Capitol a couple times and kind of given a briefing in front of some of the committees, like, here's what overlanding is, here's what we do. I'm a Tread Lightly instructor, so we teach responsible principles of travel. We teach courses in Tread Lightly, leave no trace principles, pick up your trash, whatever you brought in, you take out. So that's a portion of our training and portion of our certification process in the International Four-Wheel Drive Training Association. I'm on the board of directors for that. We have 97 certified trainers internationally. It's not an easy process to get through. It's invite only, and there's a week-long assessment and a selection kind of process to become a certified trainer. But there's about 89 or 90 of us throughout the U.S. who are certified trainers and do this kind of work in different states.
Nice. And as far as the trail travel for the overland community, especially those folks involved in the guiding aspect of it, there's definitely I assume anyway, an overarching principle of not really tearing up the roads or the roadways because those are not kept up by the state as
Hmm.
well as the other roads. So if you destroy your path, you're out of luck.
Oh, yeah. Well, we want to maintain access, so we're trying not to go in there and mess anything up or leave trash or cause erosion. Like I said, the Tread Lightly principles, a portion of it is ecosystem education. Like, hey, man, if you continuously create a mud puddle in the same spot, you're going to cause erosion. Here's the third and fourth order effect of that. So we teach that kind of stuff to off-roaders. Hey, man, I get it, slinging mud and spinning tires, but you're going to cause erosion problems. You're going to cause irrigation problems. You're going to do damage. It's not like we all don't like to do those things, but we're just being responsible of not to tear up the thing that we're driving over for the guy behind us to not be able to get up or get through. And then we obviously don't want to damage the ecosystem we're traveling through. So I'm not saying we're conservationist, but we're just trying to not do any more damage to the area that we're driving through. Don't want to lose access, don't want to cause a problem, and don't want to create damage in the ecosystem. So again, I teach those kind of things. I'm a certified Tread Lightly trainer. And then the I4WDTA, all of our trainers are Tread Lightly trainers as well.
So if you had some advice for a newcomer
Mhm.
into the realm of overlanding, what would your 5 top pieces of advice be?
Figure out your requirement. What are you wanting to do? Are you wanting to do long range trips? Are you wanting to do overnight trips? Figure out what you want to do first and then backward plan from that. If you're looking to, purchase a vehicle, get a vehicle that will suit your needs. You don't necessarily have to go with the flow and go with the follow the Joneses on, hey, you got to get this thing, you got to get this widget to be an overlander. You don't. Find out what works for you, figure out what you need, and then work through that process of figuring out what you need to accomplish that task. Once you figure out what you're going to do, what kind of vehicle you need, get training on that vehicle platform if you need it. Training is worth its weight in gold. And I'm not saying it because I am a trainer, but if you have a bunch of cool guy things, you don't know how to use your cool guy things, anything ranging from a firearm to night vision goggles to a truck, what good are they? If you don't know how to employ them properly, then they're just paperweights at that juncture. Once you get training, you'll be able to make educated decisions on the gear. Everyone gets fixated on the gear. I gotta have this. I gotta have that. I gotta have that. Well, your truck already weighs 6,000 pounds. You just put 2,000 pounds more of gear you may or may not need on that truck. You're going to cause yourself problems. Be an educated consumer. Don't get brand asphyxiated. There's a lot of good companies out there who make a lot of good equipment. Take your time, pick what you need, and pick trustworthy, reliable companies to deal with and get the right equipment, because end of the day, your recovery equipment, your tire repair equipment, whatever you're going to use on the trail, it's life-saving equipment. In a bad spot, it could be detrimental that you can't fix your tire. You can't, cut that tree, or that winch breaks on you because you pay $200 for a winch instead of paying the $600 or $700 you need for a quality winch. Educate yourself on what you think you need, and then talk to others. Communicate with others who are already in the industry, who are already, avid off-roaders or overlanders, and then just be conscious of what you're about to do do your homework and educate yourself to make the right decisions, and then the rest will come with it. You'll be an educated off-roader, you'll be an educated consumer, and then you'll feel better because you've got things that you want to do and you have the equipment to do it. End of the day, you'll be happier instead of worrying about what the other guy has, or I got to get this cool piece of equipment. See a lot of folks come into the classes, well, I need this, I need that, I need this. And they'll lay out 50 things that they have on a tarp. I'd be like, well, yeah, you need like 7 of those things. You can do everything you need to do with 7 of those things. You could have saved yourself 800-900 bucks. But the things that you do need get quality. And then again, goes back to education. You got to know how to use your equipment.
Yeah, Julie was talking earlier about the Appalachian Trail. Overlanding, in a lot of ways, is kind of like ultralight backpacking for automobiles or RVs. It's taking the RV and stripping it down to basics. This is what you need to travel, eat, shower, whatever it is that you want to do, because you want to be light, mobile, and ready
hmm
to move.
You'll see a lot of folks who will get a Land Cruiser. Land Cruisers are heavy already, and then they'll have a steel bumper on it. They'll have a winch. They have a rooftop tent, and they've made their 6,000-pound vehicle 8,000 pounds, and now it won't get out of its own way on the trail. It can't climb. It's lost its mobility capability. End of the day, they probably needed half of what they brought with them. Learn how to be efficient with your equipment as well. Knowing where to pack it, how to pack it, what you actually need, what you don't need, and how to use it all. You'll probably drop off 1,000 pounds of stuff off your truck and not need it, and you'll give yourself more room in your vehicle.
Yeah, I did, a lot of research on the Super Pacific before I purchased it, and one of the things I
hmm
liked is it's aluminum. It's got molly panels, different things you can use to change it up for whatever it is you might be doing, because you're not necessarily taking the same gear depending on what you're going to do at all
Sure.
times. And the other thing I like about the overlanding, and I compare this a lot to kayak fishing, is the mobility and the modular systems and how folks adapt and build to
hmm
suit their personal needs. It's really amazing, because not, and I'm sure you teach this in your class, not everyone has the same setup, even if they have the same setup. Where you keep your shovel is probably somewhere different than I keep mine, because personal preference or how often you might use it or different aspects of what you do. So it becomes very personal, right? I think.
It does. And it's an extension of your personality to some degree as well. But my Tacoma is a 2015 Tacoma 6-cylinder, 6-speed manual transmission. I have a flatbed on the back of it. I don't have a regular bed because I do so many different things with my truck. So I have that and a rack on the back, and then I have all my recovery gear placed on it where I need. So it doesn't look like a typical Tacoma running down the road. It looks very unique compared to everyone else's, but it's a tool to make me be able to go out and do certain things, because I use my truck as a tool to teach, to do route reconnaissance on trail systems. And it's a life-saving piece of equipment for me. It's not so much a daily commuter. It's, hey, this is a work truck. I've got to go do things in it. So based on necessity, that's how that truck kind of turned out the way it looks now, based out of utilitarianism, not, hey, I want to make my truck look cool. End result is it looks cool, but it's very unique to what my requirements are to be able to go out and take that vehicle to go do what I need to do with it. And if people kind of focus on that, they'll end up with a cool truck once they figure out what they need to do and associate it to what they need to get done with that truck. And it'll kind of set itself up based on your needs and what you're going to do with that vehicle.
Yeah.
You were talking a little bit ago about people doing research and only getting what they need. And
Mhm.
it's fascinating that we live in a time where information is more readily available to us at your fingertips. You can find out just about anything.
Mhm.
But it seems that as a society, we are becoming less capable. It's fascinating to me. And I think the things you're teaching are valuable things. Like you said, it's dying knowledge.
I grew up as a VOTEC student. I did automotives in VOTEC, and long story short, I wasn't challenged in the academic side of school. I'm a more hands-on, practical kind of guy. And can I do academics? Sure, I have a college degree and all those things, but I'm a vocational guy because I do certain kind of vocational work. And I've noticed that for years and years and years, it's always been, you got to go to college, you got to go to college. And the trades and skills and true skills are a dying thing. And then being able to, while, like you said, information is readily available, but you're inundated with so much information, it's hard to sift through it to find out what you need, or you need somebody to tell you, hey, don't look here, you need to look here for this thing. Here's where you go to find this information to go educate yourself on. You don't really have a guide to kind of show you anything or anybody to educate you on what you do or don't need. Years of teachers mentoring you and educating you, I think those are long gone. It's not to get into the political conversation, that It's just a different dynamic young folks are growing up in to where they're not being educated, um, or certain things. Dynamic problem solving. You've
Yeah.
probably seen things like that die over the last 10 to 15, 20 years. Dynamic problem solving is not a thing. It's a teachable skill now.
But where does that lead us? I mean, we're not going to get into that here, but
Mhm.
Right.
that's
Right.
it's scary. And as far as the vocational skills, that's great until you need a plumber and there's nobody.
Well, I mean, even if you even think about driver's ed nowadays, they teach you the roadways, the road signs, how to control the vehicle, and look out for other people. What about the flat tires? What about changing your oil? What about changing a belt on your vehicle? All the little thing is not trying to make you a mechanic, but the little things to maintain your piece of equipment to make your life easier and not cause yourself problems. Back in the day, 60, 70 years ago, you worked on your own tractor, you worked on your own car, you did all of these things. The education system nowadays just doesn't afford younger folks the opportunity to get those skill sets. They're like a dying skill set.
Yeah.
We've complicated things too much
We,
as a society.
I thought you meant on the
Oh,
podcast. I'm
no,
like,
no,
oh,
no. No,
yeah,
no.
it's
No, I think as a society, that's one of the things I love about the overland concept is the simplicity.
So
It's
but you're gonna gain so much knowledge and so much information by having to do certain things. How often do you fully plan a vehicle layout to you where you know everything I have in my truck? I now know how to use all of these things in the truck. I know how to run a high lift jack. I now know how to run a chainsaw. I can do recovery. All these things that where else do you get that kind of information unless you're forced to do it? Because if you don't know how to do those things, you can have a really bad time on a trail. It's putting a lot of people in a position where they have to learn those skills and then apply them.
so in that regard, whenever folks contact you, are they mostly out of state or from the state of West Virginia?
So I'd say it's probably 75, 25, 75% out of state, 25 in state.
I like to think that Appalachia is at
Pretty
least ahead of the
self-reliant.
curve as far as being self-reliant, but I think we regress.
I get a lot of the guys, especially in the Jeep community, who have steel cable winch lines and they work. There's issues. There's pros and cons to synthetic winch line versus steel winch line. They both have a pro and con related to them. And then when I start to teach a class and I'll have some, older gentlemen in the class, well, I've been doing it this way for 30 years. I got it. I'm glad it's worked for you. But in the last 30 years, technology has improved.
Things have changed.
Techniques have improved. Things are safer. Things are easier. Being in the military, if I can find an easier way to do something, I'm going to do it. I don't have to do everything the hard way. So I apply that to recovery. I apply that to driving. And then we've got a lot of guys who are Appalachians set in their ways, put it that way. Folks are set in their ways and once they see, I'll see the light bulb go off in a class when I explain winch line or recovery theory or resistance calculations. Like that would make my life a lot easier. I don't have to carry steel cable and chains around anymore. Yeah, you can lighten your load by about 100 pounds and you don't have to carry it.
Right.
But as far as Appalachians go, we are well ahead of the power curve.
Yeah, I sort of figured that, but I was curious about how it played out in real life because sometimes what you think is not necessarily the way it works out.
They know how
So,
to do stuff, but not always the best way to do it.
the wheels are still turning in my head about I'm thinking way off topic of camping, off-roading, but all the things that you are willing to teach people. I mean, I have a friend, she asked me the other day. She's like, "Will you teach me how to use a weapon? I don't have anybody else to ask."
Mhm.
And now I'm thinking of, a lot of females are in the same boat, middle-aged females, maybe for whatever reason, find themselves alone. Maybe their spouse has passed away, maybe they're divorced. But a class of like, here's how to change your oil, here's how to change a tire, here's how to there are a lot of things. It sounds like if somebody calls you, you would be willing to adapt to their needs.
I keep things within the sphere of off-roading and overlanding, but there's so many things you have to do in that aspect. I mean, I carry a firearm every day, retired military. Most of my guys are retired military special operations. We all carry firearms. A lot of them are firearms instructors. Those things can be taught. I've got a network of folks I can direct somebody to and say, hey, if you want to get firearms training, call Justin. This is the guy that will teach you how to do gun safety, how to carry, how to concealed carry, things of that nature. So we've got a network of guys who can. If I'm not the guy, I know the guy.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Very helpful.
Yeah.
Very helpful
everything bleeds
information.
across itself. Everything is intertwined. It's nothing's ever clean cut. You know what I mean? Yeah, I could be doing a recovery class, and the next thing you know, I'm showing somebody how to put doors on their Jeep or take their doors off because they've never done it before.
Right.
And some of it's just changing people's mindset and making them realize that they are capable.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and
I think
honestly,
a lot of people are afraid to try.
sure, peer pressure, fear of embarrassment, things of that nature. Throw that out the door and show up to a class. Hey, we're going to do these 10 or 15 things. Everybody's going to do it. It's not you're going to sit in a chair and watch me run a high lift jack and now you know how to do it. No, everyone's going to get out here. Everyone's going to use the high lift jack. They're going to jack their vehicle up. They're going to recover their vehicle with the jack. You're going to get the educational and the academic piece. Then you're going to get the practical explanation. Then you're going to get the practical hands on because you're going to do it. I know how to do it. I want to see you do it before you leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Great.
a lot of people are hesitant to do that. But once they get out of their comfort zone, then I could do this. It's not hard.
So, overlanding equipment in West Virginia, where do folks find things? Because when I purchased my X1, I had to go to Tennessee to pick it up. So, what and who offers things in West Virginia that folks can find?
You've got a lot of power sports outfitters. There's one in buddy of mine, Mountain Made Off Road. He's very side by side driven, but they have recovery gear. They have things that you would want to utilize in the off road world. In West Virginia specifically, there's nobody really that caters to the overlanding community per se, to where I can walk in and say, "Hey, I'm an overlander. I need to buy overland things." There's no one place to do that. You've got to cherry pick from different locations, everything from Harbor Freight to ordering something offline. If you know what you're looking for, then you can source it.
Okay. So, if someone in West Virginia wanted to get into overlanding, they could give you a call
Sure.
and say, "Hey, Thomas, I'm getting into it. What do I need?" And I guess you would set up maybe a consultation with them about some of the things you need and where they can find it, or if they can't find it locally, which of course the option to buy it locally is always number one option because we always want to support our local folks. But if they can't, you can hook them up with the best place to find it online to help them get the things they need to get.
Absolutely. I've done that before with the planning exercises and the planning courses and things like that. I'm a dealer of certain things. So if somebody needs recovery gear, I can sell them recovery gear. Traction boards, I can sell them traction boards. Being trail lighting or infrared lighting, whatever. I'm a Baja Designs dealer. I can provide you a certain amount, high lift jacks, recovery equipment, air tanks, so basic outfitment, sure, but roof rack tents and things that would be specific to their vehicle. I'm not an outfitter like that, but I can point them in the right direction to get what they need for what they need to do. Absolutely.
All right, cool. Well, that's what West Virginia needs because whenever I was doing it, I made it up as I went along, which was fun, but it took up a
Hmm.
lot of time.
Oh yeah,
So it's nice that there's a person or a company that folks can call, help get set up, and take care of them, and then teach them how to use it once it arrives. That's the other thing.
sure.
Getting it's one thing and using it's another.
Ironically enough, I part of my role in the I4WDTA is the product recommendation program. So on the I4WDTA website, there's a section called the PRP. What we'll do, like the last one we did was come up winches. So come up would send out one or two winches and we would utilize them and test them for 5 to 6 months. We would give them a write up. I would capture all that information and give them a final report and tell them, hey, what's good and bad about your product, X, Y, and Z. Here you go. And then we recommend this as an association for our trainers to utilize it and recommend it to our students. Turns out that they meet kind of our criteria or we recommend it, then it goes up on our website and what you can see our full report on that winch. Like here's what we did, here's how we did it, here's how we used it, here's what we like and don't like. And then that company will get a recommendation on our website through our program, and then they can also use the I4WDTA logo to say, "Hey, we're recommended by the I4WDTA." So
Nice.
that's part of what my job is on the board of directors. There, I interface with the industry because I've been dealing with the industry for almost 15 years now. So I know Warren, Smittyville, come up winches, recovery gear companies because I did that as well in the military. I was always trying to source new equipment. So end of the day, I could provide somebody a list of, hey, you've got a Jeep, you probably need these 8 or 9 things. Here's what you need to go look for. Do your homework and go find it.
Awesome. Well, Thomas, I appreciate it very much, and we look forward to sending folks your way. And maybe we'll get in touch again to talk about something more specific sometime about some of the classes you offer, what someone might be able to get out of that specific class, as well as some gear recommendations that you might have in the future
Sure.
if you'd be interested. So we would
Absolutely.
we really really appreciate your time. we'll do an official ending here in a second. But I just wonder if, I don't know, every once in a while we could drop what you're doing, like what you got going on, because I love it. Like, I absolutely love it. I think it's so cool that this is even available for someone. I've never thought about it because, your dad taught you that or your grandpa taught you that.
Hmm.
But what you said earlier is, dads and grandpas don't teach that anymore. So they're looking for someone to fill the void. It's really neat. I just love it. I love it.
Yeah.
We'll end up being in touch again if that's all right with you. I love this. I learned so much. And Thomas, thanks again for joining us. We really appreciate it, and we'll be in touch soon to see everything that's going on with West Virginia Overland. And I love what you're doing. I love the whole concept of what you're doing with teaching folks how to use the equipment that they purchased, because we all spend a lot of money on it. It's all, any of these vehicles, and by the time you add on, it's expensive. So in reality, it's really a cheap investment to learn how to use it properly, because you're going to save yourself money in the long run by not tearing things up that you spend a lot of good money and hard work to get. So really appreciate it, and we'll be in touch very soon.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.